Hello everybody, AJ Ryzik here. Today we've got another Linux OS review. Today we're looking at Linux Mint version 17.2. Now I know a lot of the other YouTube reviewers have beaten me to the punch on checking this out, but I wanted to hold off, wait for the KDE and XFCE versions to come out. Wanted to play around with those a little bit, and I got to do that, and in the end decided that I would stick with doing a review on the Cinnamon version, just for the reason that there wasn't that much changed in the XFCE and KDE versions, other than the stuff that applies to all of the desktop environments. In fact, in KDE, there, as far as the KDE specific stuff, really nothing new there. In the case of the XFCE version, they did go from XFCE version 4.10 to 4.12, so there was a little bit of stuff updated there, but not to the extent of what we see in Cinnamon. So in the end, that's what I decided I'm going to stick with for the review. So anyway, let's get started by taking a look at their homepage. Let me drag Firefox over here, and up here at the top they discuss a little bit about the recent releases of all the variety of desktop environments for 17.2. Cinnamon, of course, being their flagship. Mate, if you are not familiar with the Mate desktop environment, basically a continuation, I guess you could think of the old Gnome 2 desktop, but of course has been updated and some improvements made. KDE, of course, is the tweaker's dream. If you are a person that likes to configure your desktop to the nth degree, KDE is your desktop environment. XFCE is a lot like Mate, and in a lot of ways I consider Mate and XFCE to be competitors, in that they're fairly lightweight on the resources, very stable, fairly configurable, not to the extent that KDE is, but fairly configurable. But Cinnamon continues to be the flagship desktop environment for Linux Mint, and Cinnamon does have a lot going for it, as we'll see as we go through the review here. In fact, on my laptop, even though I'm running Arch Linux on there, I'm running Cinnamon for the desktop environment. I know for a long time I have been a Gnome 3 fan, but I really like what they've been doing with Cinnamon lately. So decided to take that for a spin and use that for a while. But anyway, this is the Linux Mint website here. If you haven't been here before, definitely check it out. Besides having a place where you can download Linux Mint, there's links to the community, the forums, the blog. They've got hardware database and tutorials, how you can help out with the project, stuff like that. So definitely check out their website. Alright, so what we got here is the default desktop, as it comes from Linux Mint. The only thing I have done to this distribution after installing it, I did install Cheese, which is the webcam viewer you see right here, and then I also installed Simple Screen Recorder, which is what I use for my screen recording, doing the videos, that sort of thing. Other than that, I have made no additions to this, so what you see is what you're going to get when you install Linux Mint. Real nice welcome screen that they've got. Gives you links to new features, user guide, your software manager, all that kind of stuff, tutorials. Real nice for the new user. You can go see that you've got right here this show this dialog at startup. You can deselect that if you don't want that to pop up at startup. But anytime you want to look at it again, just go to your menu. You can do a welcome search and it gets you to your welcome screen. So, like I said, this is the default look, default wallpaper. As far as our desktop layout, we've got over in the left hand corner, we've got our menu, which you can either click the mouse to click it with the mouse, or you can use the window or super key to pop it open. You can search by category, or you can do a keyboard search. So maybe you're looking for LibreOffice, boom, it pulls up LibreOffice for you. So that's a feature I really like. I'm really into keyboard searches just because I like to keep my hands on the keyboard. Don't want to have to keep going back and forth between the mouse and whatnot. So at least for me, really like that search feature. So we've got our menu, and then we've got the show desktop applet, which if you click that, it'll close all of the application windows that you have open at any one time. So you can see, boom, disappears, and then click it again and it opens them back up to where they were. We've got some quick links for Firefox and our terminal, and for our file manager, which is Nemo File Manager, which is very, very nice file manager, and I'll talk a little bit about him later. And then we've got our all of our open applications listed right along here, and then over on the right hand side we've got about whoever the particular user is, and it also has quick links for system settings, lock screen, switch user, log out, and power off. You've got right next to that, you've got your internet connection, and then sound settings. The little red dot right next to that is just an indicator for my simple screen recorder. And then we got our notifications and our time/calendar. And then over on here we can go and change, or actually pull up, basically it'll show you your workspaces that you currently have active, and then list what programs that you have running in that particular workspace. Cinnamon has gone from version 2.4 to 2.6, and along with that there's been lots of changes there. First thing I want to mention is memory use. Also CPU use is down as well. But just as a baseline, right out of the box, without any applications running, Cinnamon on Linux Mint 17.2, at least on my desktop, I'm running about 445 megabytes of RAM. That's down quite a bit from the previous version of Cinnamon. Now, I will tell you that you can get Cinnamon even lighter than that. On my laptop, which is Arch Linux running Cinnamon 2.6, I'm running about 335 megabytes of RAM. Part of it has to do with what applications you got running in the background, services running in the background, and then also various animations, and there's a lot of factors that are involved in it. But long story short, it's much lighter on the resources, and you can go and tune it to be even lighter on the resources than it is out of the box, so to speak. So that's a significant thing right there. Another thing that we've got some changes is with Nemo, our file manager. Let me go and pull that open. Nemo is a fork of Nautilus from the Gnome team. Now Nautilus is called Files, but they've got all the features that got stripped out of Nautilus back in I think it was around version 3.4, 3.6, something like that. But anyway, a lot of features got stripped out. They've retained those features and have continued to improve upon what they had going for them. One of the big features, and this isn't something new, it's just something I've always liked, is dual pane. So you can drag and drop, that sort of thing. Makes it easy to compare the contents of files, that sort of thing. So there's that. But as far as new features go, one is Nautilus, your various Nautilus processes, actions, that sort of thing. Instead of being done in parallel, they are now done in sequence. So like, let's say for example, I open up my download file. I've got a bunch of files there, and then first I want to transfer one file to this folder, one, and then this file to this folder, this file to this folder. Rather than try to do them all at the same time, it's going to do them one at a time in sequence. Um, and I found in the past when you are doing a lot of file transfers and trying to do all of those at the same time, you know, everything's going to run slow within Nemo. Well, by going in series, they're done in sequence that you've asked them, and each task gets done fairly quickly. Granted, the last thing that you just asked Nemo to do, it's going to take a while before it gets to doing that thing, but doing it in sequence, at least to me, makes sense. So that's one improvement that we've got. Another one is we've got this new plugin manager so that you can manage all of your Nemo plugins from here. You can still go and play with these via the preferences, but the plugin manager makes it real nice and easy to configure Nemo. System settings has been completely reorganized and is so much better than it used to be. This was previously one of my complaints about Linux Mint, was that system settings, their categorization and organization, it just didn't make any sense. Now it makes sense. The categories make sense. Hardware, it's all hardware stuff. Administration, it's preferences, appearance. All this stuff makes sense now. While we're in system settings, some other stuff that's been upgraded. Window effects, you can turn the window effects on and off. You've got a variety of effect styles. So this whole thing, it's been simplified, but at the same time, you've got more effects that you can enable, and it's easier to go and configure them. So very nice with the work that they've done on that. Some of the applets have been upgraded as well. One of them is the power applet. They've combined, let me look at my notes here because I wrote it down. In the power management, you've got brightness and the battery and all that kind of stuff. It's all been combined into one applet, and much better how would I say it? Detection of your battery. So if you've got a laptop, say, that's got dual batteries, in previous versions of Cinnamon, I found that you wouldn't always detect both batteries. Sometimes Cinnamon would get confused. Doesn't seem to be an issue anymore on my laptop. Is detecting the dual batteries, and no issues there and that sort of thing. So pretty happy with that. Here it is right here. The panels, that's another big thing, is that as far as going editing the panels, you can now edit the panels individually. You can have them span across multiple monitors. You can have them on just one monitor. You can pick which monitor it goes on. You can move them around different positions and whatnot. So much more flexible as far as the panels go. Essentially you've gone to something similar to what you've got with XFCE and the Monte desktop, with being able to put them anywhere and everywhere that you want. This has been not a major issue, but something of an irritation for people like me and then others that are running multiple monitors, because you don't necessarily want a single panel that either spans both monitors, or if you're going to go and have multiple panels, you don't necessarily want them identical. You want to be able to configure them individually. When you have more than one monitor, you need that kind of flexibility. So definitely 2 thumbs up on adding that feature here. We also have some improvements in our software sources. If once we've got our software sources open, come to PPAs, and it'll list all the PPAs that you have added. And you can see the only thing that I've added here is the one for simple screen recorder. But once we're in this dialog box here, you can go and select Open PPA, which will open a dialog box that shows you all the packages that are within that PPA. And from there, you could go and do an install, which I've already installed it, so it wouldn't do anything for me there. But you could go and install right from here. There's no having to go to your software manager or anything like that. Right from here you can install packages. So very nice on that. Now you can also go and use this to if you've created some problems by adding a PPA and it's added some software that's giving you issues, you can go and fix that issue from here as well. What you would do is go and delete whatever particular PPA is giving you issues. So, let's say, for example, I wanted to get rid of the simple screen recorder. I would select that PPA right there, click remove. Once it's removed, I could then go and remove the software that that particular PPA had added. So, this gives you a real nice tool for purging stuff that you have added and screwed up your system with. Much easier and simpler than doing it with the terminal. That about covers the new features from Linux Mint 17.2. What I like to do now is I'll do a quick run through of all the software that is included. Now, I will tell you that if you've used the previous few versions of Linux Mint, then this software list is going to be identical to what you're used to. Yeah, you've got new versions of it, but it's essentially the same software list. So this part might be a little boring for you, but for all the new users out there, I kind of like to be thorough on this. So anyway, let's take a look at what we got. Under accessories, we've got our archive manager, our calculator, character mapping, our disk manager, document viewer, Nemo, our file manager, our font viewer, screenshot tool, link to our terminal emulator, our text editor, Tomboy notes, and then for USBs, both an image writer and a USB stick formatter. Under graphics, we've got the GIMP, which is probably the best open source alternative to Photoshop. GThumb, which is a photo/image manager. We've got an image viewer and our scanning tool. For internet, we have Firefox for our browser. HexChat is our IRC client. Pigeon for our internet messaging. Thunderbird for email, and transmission for our BitTorrent. Under Office, we've got the LibreOffice suite. Sound and video, we've got the Banshee music player, excellent music player, love Banshee. Brazier for disk burning, definitely got to say that one right. Cheese and simple screen recorder, I mentioned those earlier. Those are things that I added for doing my screen recording. And we've got both the Gnome videos and VLC media player for doing our video watching. Under the admin, that's where we've got our backup tool. We've got a disk usage analyzer, we've got a domain blocker, driver manager, GDebi package installer. So if you, rather than using PPAs, download a Debian file to install, GDebi will do the installation for you. Excellent tool for installing Debian packages. We've got our log file viewer, login window. A bunch of these are things you really wouldn't want or don't necessarily need to get into. Power stats, printer configurations, and then we've got our various software management stuff. We've got our software manager, the software sources, Synaptic package manager for installing and removing packages, system monitor, our update manager, got an upload managers, and then for managing our users and groups. Under preferences, we've got, this is basically all the stuff that you'll find under system settings. The AMD Catalyst Control Center is that is added because of I'm using an AMD graphics card, and I installed the proprietary video driver. And really, if it wasn't for Firefox, I would not worry about that. Firefox, for the life of me, it is a nightmare with controlling screen tearing. And with my video card, I've found that under the Catalyst Control Center, there's a tear-free mode that enabling that is my best option for preventing screen tearing in Firefox. But anyway, a lot of this stuff, like I said, is stuff that you will find under system settings, the applets, the panels, desklets, that kind of thing. So we've got all that stuff, and then we also have the places link, which will show you, documents, music, pictures, videos, all those file categories, and then also your recent files that you've accessed. And that pretty much covers all of the software. So overall impressions of Linux Mint 17.2. I think they knocked it out of the ballpark on this one. It is an excellent distribution. As far as how everything worked and that sort of thing, everything worked out of the box. I didn't have any issues with anything crashing, and this app didn't work, that one didn't do this, and everything worked right out of the box. No issues with the desktop, no issues with the installer. I mean, as far as all that kind of thing goes with things working, everything was great. The complaints that I have about Linux Mint are really pretty minor. One, I'm not a fan of their theming. It's not bad. It's just that there's a lot of themes out there that I like a lot better than what they use. So there's that, and that's just one of those personal preference kind of things that there's no way that you're going to make everybody happy on the theming. Like I said, it's not a bad look. It's just not my preference. So there's that, and over the years, and this has been like a long-term trend that I've been noticing, is that Linux Mint has become fairly bloated as far as software goes. And I think that comes down to, they're trying to be everything for everyone. So you have, I just ran through the software list. There's a huge software list there. You have multiple applications that do essentially the same thing. And it kind of leaves you scratching your head, why is that? Well, this person likes this person likes that, so well, let's just include it all. And I guess there is somewhat of a logic to that, but at the same time, you end up using more system resources, you have more stuff running in the background. For the people like me who might like to have a leaner distribution on, say, their laptop or whatever, all that extra software, it tends to be not a problem, but an annoyance of I've got all this stuff that I don't use. Essentially for me, on my laptop, I essentially need an internet browser. And I need an office suite, and maybe VLC, or some other movie player or whatnot, because occasionally I will watch a movie on the laptop. And then there is a proprietary piece of writing software that I use for doing my novels and such, called Scrivener, and I'll put that on. That is about it for me. So that big huge list of software that I just ran through, 90% of that I will never use. And this isn't just Linux Mint. This is, there's a lot of other distributions doing the same thing. I would love it if you could have a, I don't know what you want to call it, a Linux Mint core, where it is, the desktop that is set up, it's ready to go. You have your file manager, the applications that you need for the desktop to work, and that's it. And then you can come in here and go and add the software that you want. I would love to see that, because yeah, you can come in here and delete the stuff that you're not going to use. um, but that does end up being kind of time consuming. Of course, the flip side of that is, all the people that want a ton of software installed on their desktop are going to say, well, look at how much time I've got to spend installing the software that I want. So I mean, I guess there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, I can understand why they add all the software, but at the same time, for somebody like me, um, it gets to be an irritation. But like I said, that's kind of a minor issue. It's not going to apply to everybody. It's more my personal preference. I mean, I know there's other people out there that they want a distribution where there's a fairly limited amount of pre-installed software. But Linux Mint doesn't fall into that category for you. Um, but other than little things like that, this has been a great distribution. Like I said, everything working out of the box, that puts it miles ahead of a lot of other distributions. So, definitely worth checking out. And after playing around with it for a while, I can understand why Linux Mint is such a popular distribution. But on that note, I think that about finishes this review up. Definitely give Linux Mint a try out. It's definitely worth your time. As always, leave comments, questions, all that kind of stuff down below. I will try to get to them as soon as possible. If you enjoyed the video, give us a big old thumbs up. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my subscriber community. As always, take care, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.